So 1-0 to Inter Miami, and Lionel Messi has to take off that shirt in those freezing conditions. Also braving the cold for us today, Ali Moreno is here, because there's a lot to talk about right now. I suppose we should just touch on the fact that that happened at the end of the game. Any thoughts on the referee asking for Messi's jersey?
I have enough of a problem with players that actually are acting like fanboys following games against Lionel Messi. Not only do they want the jersey, they want a picture, they want him to sign the jersey. That in itself has already got me going when it comes to Lionel Messi. The referee asking for a jersey takes that to an entirely different level. The one word that I thought of when this came up, embarrassing. It's just embarrassing. Where has being a professional gone? Level of professionalism. Now, I understand that you may have respect for players, and I think it's good for referees to have a respect for a player and appreciation for players, because then I think players will respect the referee. But this is not respect. This is admiration. This is fanboy. And you cannot be a fan of the player that you're refereeing. You cannot. You simply cannot. Think about the perspective of Sporting Kansas City players, coaches, front office, fans. What are they supposed to think? Huh? If you are a fanboy of this specific player and you just had a match against this player and the referee feels like he has to go out of his way to ask for the jersey, you already know that Messi's probably going to get preferential treatment. But this is confirmation of it all. Confirmation of it all. And this referee, Marco Antonio Ortiz Navas, cannot possibly be allowed to referee any other Inter Miami game in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. That cannot happen. This is embarrassing enough.
Do you guys feel the same?
Absolutely. I don't think you took it far enough.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm a little longer in the tooth than the rest of you, and I've never seen this before.
But you know there's going to be people who say, but it's a once-in-a-lifetime player. It's Lionel Messi. This is his only chance.
No. Professionalism. Come on. I mean, CONCACAF better speak to this guy. They have to do something. This is just unacceptable. So every time now that they're scheduling a game with this guy, they've got to make sure that Messi's not playing. Because I can assure you, if I'm the coach of the other team, that's the first thing I'm bringing up. I mean, it's completely unprofessional. I'm actually flabbergasted that a referee would be that unprofessional to do that. I mean, really, it's just completely and totally unacceptable. And the guy should be sanctioned or something, because you can't do it. It's just a no-no.
To your point, Kay, I understand. Yes, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get the shirt of arguably the greatest players to have ever played the game. But then it comes down to, what do you value higher, the shirt or your own integrity? And as we sit right now, the shirt's winning out. Because you cannot tell me, especially the manner in which it was done, right after the game, you cannot convince me that he didn't have this on his mind all along. So had Lionel Messi two-footed somebody knee-high, he could not send Lionel Messi off because he wanted his shirt. It was premeditated, and you cannot convince me otherwise that Messi does get would get preferential treatment if anything was on the edge, which then calls into to question the referee's integrity, the integrity of the game. If you value the shirt higher, fair on you. But I'm sorry, I don't agree with that.
And here's the other thing, right? We know it's Messi, and we know that comes with a whole different type of attention. But if you are the referee, and he would say, look, I'm able to separate my refereeing from being a fan of Lionel Messi. No, you cannot. Because if you could, you wouldn't act upon your fandom of Lionel Messi. And this is exactly what he did. He acted upon his fandom of Lionel Messi. And to Shaka's point, this fandom didn't just happen in the last 90 minutes. This fandom was ahead of the game. This fandom of this referee coming into the match in the premeditated measure and way that Shaka is referring, he had then made a decision, I'm going to ask this man for his jersey. It's reprehensible behavior and unacceptable behavior for a referee in any level, but certainly in a continental competition as this one. It's just awful on any level, on any measure.
Speaking of unacceptable, Javier Mascherano said after the game that the weather conditions to be expected to play in them were inhumane. It reminded me, Shaka, of when you said you played in a game where players actually got hypothermia. It was so cold.
Players had to come off playing for FC Dallas at New York Red Bull, and nor'easter blows in, and 2 players, 1 from each team, had to come off at halftime with hypothermia. I don't get it. I really don't. There is nothing, and we've seen this before, and there is nothing that lends itself to the game to these extreme conditions. Because that's what it is. It's extreme conditions. And as much as everybody got through it, as much as we lasted in 90 minutes and as a result and we can now move on, there is nothing, I think, that the game on the whole gets out of pushing the boundaries as to what's acceptable playing conditions or not in this manner.
Been involved in it with the Revs, New York, early season. Players can't run properly. The field's affected. The ball's affected. It just shouldn't be done. It's impossible to play a game of football on it. And anybody who asks and makes players step on a field in those conditions to play doesn't care about the players or whatever championship it is. They just care about getting the game over and done with so we can tick the box off and forget the fans, forget everybody. Just let's tick the box. That's all it is.
What year was there was an MLS Cup final that the temperatures were similarly?
Well, there was one in Toronto and there was one in Kansas City as well. Real Salt Lake against Sporting Kansas City. We were covering that game. And let me just say, in covering that match, I've never been so cold in my life. And I was feeling it. I wasn't playing. I can only imagine what it was like playing. And overall, when you think about what's actually taking place out on the field, that's not football. That's not soccer. It's a different sport altogether. Stevie just mentioned how it affects the ball. If you watched last night's game, the ball didn't even bounce. It couldn't bounce. The ground was frozen. The ball was frozen. The players are frozen. And to the point to where it affects how players run. Now you are then affecting the fitness level of the player and the potential injury for a player. And that's where I think this is a problem, that you are potentially endangering the safety and the welfare of the players. If you're going to endanger the safety and wellness of the player, you're endangering the game itself. Where do you draw the line? Obviously, somewhere warmer than this.
Yes, well, it is a big weekend ahead for MLS because it's heading into its 30th season.